So let's look at a couple of types of questions that you could be asked based on what we've covered so far. So if we have a look at this type of one here, so what you've been asked to do is just to simplify these guys here. Okay, so you're just being asked to simplify. This is negative 100, and this is negative 49. So if we take the first one here, so if we want to simplify this, so remember we can write it something like this. So it's going to be the square root of 4 times the square root of negative 1. Okay, so we can write it like that. And then what we can do is so if we take this, we can actually square this. So the square root of 4 is equal to 2. So it's going to be 2. And if we remember this, so remember this, I is equal to the square root of negative 1. So remember this rule. What we can do then is we can change this. So it's going to be 2 multiplied by the square root of negative 1, which is just I. And then what will that will simplify down into 2i, like so. So we've taken this guy and we've simplified it down, and this is it simplified here. So this is going to be your answer, 2i. So then if we have a look at this one here, so again we want to kind of do the same thing. So this is the square root of negative 100. So what we can do is we can just change it to the square root of 100. So note we've removed the negative sign, multiplied by the square root of negative 1, like so. So then if we can simplify this even more, we can say, so the square root of 100 is just 10. So this here will just simplify to I. So it's going to be 10, and this dot means multiplied by I. And then we can just, so 10 by I is just equal to 10i, like so. Okay, so that's that first one. And then if we take this one here, so again we can kind of do the same thing. So we just remove the negative sign. So it's 49 multiplied by the square root of negative 1. So if we take then, so what's the square root of 49? The square root of 49 is just 7. And then this here simplifies into just I. So it's going to be 7 multiplied by I. And then this, so 7 by I is just going to be 7i, like so. So we've taken these imaginary numbers and we've simplified down into their simplest form. Okay, so let's have a look at these kind of questions here. So what you've been asked to do in this is to write each of these in the form a plus bi. So again, this is in the form, this is your complex number. So remember this part here, a represents the real, so the real part, and then this b here represents the imaginary part. So the imaginary part. So as an example, so you could have something like this. So 2 plus 3i. Okay, so this, as you remember, we looked at it's a complex number. So this 2 represents the real part, and then this 3 represents the imaginary part. So all you've been asked to do is to take these guys here and write them in this form here. So if we have a look at this first question, so we can see that we already have the real part here. So now we need to simplify this down into an imaginary part. So what we can say is, so this will be 6 plus, so if we take, so we can write this as the square root of 16 multiplied by negative 1. Okay, so remember, we're using this guy here. So then if we take the square root of 16, which is, so this would be 6 plus 4 multiplied by, and then we can change this negative square root of negative 1 to this, to just I. So it's going to be I, like so. And then what we can do is we can just multiply this. So 4 multiplied by I, so this is going to become 6 plus 4i, like so. So again, the question, what it asks you to do is to write it in this form, a plus bi. So a is the imaginary part and a is the real part and b is the imaginary part of the number, okay? So if we look at this here, so this 6, so this is A plus, and this 4 is going to be B, and then you have the I there like so. So again, this is your answer here. Okay, so that's that one. So if we have a look at this one here, so let's just draw a line down here just to separate these. So this one here then, so again we want to simplify this, so it's going to be the square root of 121 multiplied by the square root of -1, like so. Then what we want to do is, so the square root of this is equal to 11, so 11 multiplied by 11 is 121 times, and then remember we can write this, the square root of -1, we can write it just as I, like so. Okay, and then this is 11 multiplied by I, which is equal to 11I. Okay, now what we notice here is that we have the imaginary part. Now remember, we can take any imaginary number and turn it into a complex number. We just need to add in this real part. So remember, we can just write this like so. So it's going to be 0 plus, and then this imaginary part, 11I, like so. So again, we notice that we have this now. We've changed it, and it's in this form here. So again, this 0 is the A part plus BI. Okay, so this is the B part, and then that's your I. Okay, so this here is your answer. So we've taken this guy up here, and we've changed it, and we've put it into this form here, like the question asks. This last question then, so I'll just draw a line here, so if we have a look at this one then, so what have we got? So we have -2, so again this is the real part, so it's just going to stay as -2, minus, so now we want to simplify this, so it's going to be the square root of 100, so we just remove the sign, multiplied by the square root of I, sorry, not -1, should I say, like so. And then what we can do is we can simplify this, so the square root, so this is going to be -2 minus, so the square root of 100 is just equal to 10 multiplied by, and then this just changes to I, like so. Okay, so it just changes to I like that. And then we have, so this is just going to become -2. So -10 multiplied by I would just be -10I. So what we've done is we've taken this and we've changed it so that's in this form here. So what we notice then is that we have, so this is the A, so -2 is the A part in this form, so it's your complex number, it's the real part, and so this here is minus B, like so, and then I. Okay, so it's going to look something like that. So what we can see is that we've changed it into this form. And I would like, because if the negative number there, that's fine, because that's just the way that this one has actually worked out. So it's a complex number, so this is the real part, and then this -10 is the imaginary part. So again, this is your answer here. So these are just some of the kind of questions that you could be asked, let's say just in relation to what we've covered so far in complex numbers. So you could be just asked to simplify, for example, or you could be asked to take a number that looks something like this and change it into this standard form for a complex number. And that's what we've looked at here in these examples. So what we'll move on to next then is just how do we add and subtract complex numbers. So if we have a complex number, how do we add and subtract them together? Okay, thank you for listening.